is this concept of, all right, yeah, fully realizing that I am someone's slave, but that's not even the painful part. It's like the painful part is I'm realizing like I'm someone's slave and they have no use for me anymore.
In my head, it's like, I'm extra sick. I'm like clearly witnessing the decline of being like just like chronic stress or whatever. And it's like in my head, if I were trying to explain to my dad that I've been chronically stressed for a year and a half, like that just
Mhm.
wouldn't compute. Because it's
Mhm.
like to a boomer brain, if I haven't had a wife I hate or
Mhm.
kids I hate or a job I hate, how can I possibly be stressed?
Yep.
What do
Yep.
I
Yep.
have to stress about? What responsibilities do
Yeah.
I have? And I'm like, I haven't had this. I don't think I've
But
had.
you were having this thought last night
Yeah, and this morning.
or this morning? That's so weird. I have very similar line of thinking I was going down this morning as well.
Yeah.
But like literally specifically that of like how the hell would you communicate? I literally think that potentially in hindsight, only in hindsight, that I've put myself under more stress than simply like having a job would have had for
Mm-hmm.
the entire
Yeah,
year.
yeah, yeah.
Even if I disliked the job and was like late and running late and blah blah blah. Those are stressors, but I'm like, I literally think I might have been under more stress than somebody working a job they hated for the past. And there's no way to like, I don't know how I could possibly explain or communicate that in a believable way at all because it just sounds so ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I don't think
But
it's ridiculous to the right audience.
to the
Uh,
very specific audience, but like, yeah, yeah, just like,
to an empathetic listener, I don't think it's unreasonable at all. But
I don't even know if it's that. I think you'd have to have some level of personal experience in the concept of like, uh, either losing your identity or not having one, whatever. And, because that's right. I mean, that's really where it stems from is it's like, it's just this constant every day you wake up like not knowing who you are. That's like
mm-hmm,
really what it comes to, where it
mm-hmm.
stems from. But to somebody who like has never experienced that, they just always have some sort of label that they like can identify with. Uh, I don't know if it's not even an empathy thing. It's just like they just don't have the experience to relate to. Because I wouldn't have known that. I wouldn't have known that the idea of like not knowing things could be so psychologically strenuous
Mm-hmm.
that yeah. But in hindsight, like I'm really starting to view it that way. Like, oh my God, no, I actually been under immense stress, in a literal definition of stress, like the effect on the body and shit. Like, yeah, there's something very, very bad about every day, like waking up and not knowing who you are. Really, I guess is what it is.
Yeah, the uncertainty. I mean, that's why Gen Z seems to be aging a lot faster. Kind of right.
I think it's a Ritalin and shit, but yeah,
It's
I think
all
it's this
it's all,
10-year prescription of
all
fucking
related.
stimulants.
It's all related.
Yeah, yes, it is.
But uncertainty, I think, is really bad for people. And I've really, as I get older, come to the idea that most people desperately yearn for like authority, like rules,
Hmm.
like being told what to do is actually pleasant for most people. And
Uh-huh.
like for Gen Z, it's like they've had no authority to tell them what to do with any
Hmm.
reliable consistency. And it's like that
Hmm.
alone is
Or
already
literally like been
frustrating.
betrayed, or literally been betrayed by the
Yeah.
authority, and then like lost the faith in the
Confidence.
concept of
Yeah.
authority.
But
Yeah.
people like knowing where they stand.
Hmm.
They like rules to a certain extent. They don't
Hmm.
they like to bitch about the rules. They like to act like they want to change them and put on their kuftis or whatever and pretend to be communists fighting for Palestine. Deep emphasis on pretend, but
Hmm.
they just like to have some framework. They don't like uncertainty. I think we're animals that do not appreciate uncertainty. We want to believe we have freedom, but we don't want it to be deep all the way freedom. Definitely not.
Hmm.
We like a city. We like a polis. We like laws. We like a social contract. We like having to have you walk on the right side of the road, not the left. It's just I think it's just making too many decisions is where it wears you out. People who
Hmm.
they want to be able to choose between two dinner options. You know what I mean? They talk about it like the ice cream I don't know what the term is, but it's like the ice cream effect of like too many ice cream flavors gives people anxiety, and they can
Mhm.
never be happy with the ice cream they've chosen. You know, but if you have just a handful of flavors and you let them choose, they're actually very happy with fewer options. You know, too many
Yeah.
options fatigues people. It makes them uncertain on their ability to choose and to think for themselves, but they can't be told there's only one flavor. That's authoritarian. You know, they need to have some choice, but not too many. And I think
Yeah.
that's basically where we're at, where it's like we still want freedom. Everyone wants some level of freedom. That's very normal, but like too much, you know, it's just unnatural for us. And we need to have some level of social cohesion, some way to work together.
Yeah.
And right now, there's no one
No.
in charge. There's just no adults in the room. No one's in
No adults
charge.
in the room.
No adults in the room, and it's just like, all right, well, it's like you got what you wanted, like 17-year-old kid. Don't you want to like
Exactly. I
build
thought I
society
wanted
from
it.
scratch? And it's like
Yep.
it's kind of a lot of responsibility for like a kid. It's
Yeah.
like, no, I want to
Actually,
choose a
overwhelming amount.
college. You know, I want to choose between state and you of state. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to
Yeah.
choose between, oh, do we bomb this country this week and then poison the other? It's like that's too much. You know, can
Mhm.
you just make this a little simpler for me, please? I don't need, you know, when
Yeah.
cable first came out, the joke was, you know, there's like, oh, 1,000 channels, nothing to watch.
Mm. Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
you know, broadcast TV, you had 3 channels. People didn't bitch about that at all. They didn't complain
Mhm.
about 3 channels. No one complained about 3 channels. Not really. Not really. Because you had choice, technically, but
Mhm.
it wasn't too much. And now it's like the joke was like when cable came out, it's like you have 1,000 channels, DirecTV, you have 1,000 channels. It's like, can't be happy with anything. What the fuck am I going to watch? I can't choose between all this. I could
I
spend
remember
my
that
whole
feeling. It's
life
good.
looking, you know?
Mhm.
And people on that's what drives me crazy. Like,
The algorithm saved us.
in a way, in a way,
Except now we're full circle. Now we come full circle to, now everybody we didn't want free will. We decided we didn't want free will, too overwhelming. Just serve me up, daddy. And now
mm-hmm,
daddy's been serving it up, and now you don't even have your own mind. Now your mind is completely owned by someone else. So
mm-hmm,
it's quite the fickle balancing act, and us humans turns out are really fucking bad at everything.
yeah, turns out.
Yeah, the way I've been describing it lately, this concept of me, Xander, staring into the abyss, or which is very much associated with free will of like, oh, let me figure it all out myself type of thing, instead of let me just like listen to the fucking retard teachers who told me what was right and what was wrong. But once you discover that they're retarded, then the temptation of, oh, let me stare into the abyss and figure it all out myself. Okay, so the way I've been describing that lately is like, oh, silly, silly fucking Xander, silly fucking Xander. It's like literally the parallel is the whole like Thanos like a gauntlet thing that he fucking puts on his hand type thing. It's like, oh my god, I stupid fucking retard. I thought I could like process and handle all of the like trauma of the entire world inside my fucking one body. Like, oh my god, who the fuck did I think I was? What a fucking idiot. God damn it. Like, of course, you're gonna explode yourself trying to put on the, in, in, like, and I haven't even seen the movie. I don't, but the reference of like, holding all the stones at once or whatever.
Too much. It's
Or
like
do you
it's
know
no,
the reference of it?
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's more. I think a better example is like the Nazis and Raiders, where it's like
Yes,
they
yes,
they
exactly.
want all the knowledge of God or
Yes.
whatever of the
Hmm.
Ark, and it just like literally melts them from the inside out.
That's how I feel. That's
Yeah,
exactly how I feel with my past couple of years of like post COVID, just being like,
yeah,
oh, I figured out everything's a lie. Let me try to remap things from the ground up. And like what you're saying, and it's like, well, at the end of the day, all of a sudden now I'm making decisions of like whether I poison this entire population and whether I bomb this population. I don't have the actual button, but I'm putting the weight of those decisions on myself and
yeah.
trying to like come up to the right answer
Right.
because I've now realized, oh, that's what these people are doing on this level. And who the fuck did I think I was to yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
they're
Literally
accepting
some
the
Ark of the
sins of
Covenant
all
shit.
of society at once. It's like that's why you have them in the streets because they're like protesting. You're like, oh no, I'm personally responsible for these images of death and suffering across the world. And it's like, well, if I don't do something about it, then who will? It's like if I'm If no if
And it's
if
not
I
even
can't
doing
if I
anything, like,
can't
no one's
find who's
doing
responsible, then I must be responsible as an American.
or something. It was the act of, like, trying to take responsibility for everything in my own life, which is kind of net good, the concept of being high
Mm-hmm.
agency. But taken to the extreme, it's like you end up in a weird way taking on the psychological burden of, like, everything, and that will literally destroy the weak vessel of the human body.
Well, you're just not supposed to take on the burden of all of society,
Well, I thought you kinda
especially.
were,
Well,
but
I'm
this
just
isn't
saying, like in
I thought you were.
what's a healthy way to do it is not to take the
I thought
burden.
that was the healthy I literally that's the decision I
That's
made,
I
that
can't believe that even occurred to you.
well,
No, you're
well,
not.
the option
Just the point being, it's like in the globalized world with 8 billion people, it's like you can't possibly have all that responsibility. No one does. Even our deepest leaders don't. Our largest leaders don't have responsibility over everything. You're supposed to have responsibility over
that's
like
in my mind, that was
just
the
your
problem
local community
I
of just
identified.
your
That was the
family.
problem I identified,
Well, I
was leaders not taking enough responsibility, and so being like, "Oh, yeah, then I have to do it myself."
not of all
And that's no,
society, of just
well,
yourself, your
no, 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 no,
community,
no,
your
well, yeah,
family, and then maybe on the higher level, like your kingdom, quote unquote. But it's just like that used to be the max of what like responsibility you would have in the pre-empire era. You would just be responsible at the maximum amount for your local kingdom. And then it's like now we get into this globalized world where it's like, oh no, I have the responsibility of billions. And it's like that's where you start to get problems where it's like, yeah, well,
someone does.
might as well invent God, call it AI, and then fuse myself with it. Because how else am I going to sort through 3 billion voices at once? Whereas before,
Mhm,
it's like on a tribal level, it's like, yeah, you're responsible for yourself, then your family, then your like village or your community, and maybe you're responsible for like a kingdom if you're a higher chieftain type thing. But it's like that sphere of influence ends. You can count
mhm,
the people you're responsible for. The impacts of your actions are measurable. Now, Zuck, I mean, sure he's a nice guy, but like you can't be literally responsible for 3 billion brains at once. Like that just can't
mhm.
possibly compute. And it's like he probably knows that. So it's like in that rate, it's like, well, I can't govern 3 billion souls. Like I'll just invent a machine to do it. And I don't know what the implications of that fully fleshed out are, but it's like that's kind of what we're grappling with, where it's like the kingdoms have become everybody all the time, always via technology, that it's like you can't possibly be responsible for that many people at once.
Yeah, we need a spiritual, religious fucking revolution. But, the problem, even me saying spiritual, what I mean by that is this concept of like, oh yeah, so an individual can't take responsibility for all these other individuals. So in my mind, the only like scenario that exists then is the masses of individuals taking responsibility for themselves. So there still is this concept of like increasing responsibility underlying
For
everything.
yourself and maybe your family. And that is normal. That should be
But that's not what
pushed.
people are doing, really.
No, because they don't feel like they have agency for one reason or another. So it's like you only can blame your government, your FDA, your food, your companies, your Facebooks. All you can do is blame like, well, I'm not happy because my food's poison and my brain's poisoned by Facebook. And it's like, well, I can't take responsibility because I don't even have responsibility for what I put in my body. So it's like, no, how could you convince people that they're responsible for themselves when they're not even like actually responsible for their day-to-day lives and like what is actually keeping them alive? So it's going to be hard to convince them that like they need to be responsible for more than just for anything. It's like almost like a Gen Z ethos is like I'm not responsible for a damn thing. Everyone else is responsible, and I hate them for it because they fucked up so bad. But it's like you still do need to be responsible for your own self, your own body. And if you can master being responsible for yourself, then maybe you can master, being responsible for your brother or your wife or your son or your parents or
Mhm,
something and grow from there. But
mhm.
we don't have any ability to do that. And perhaps in the 50s, it's like it was probably easy to make that shift because you literally were responsible for yourself, your wife, your children, your parents. And that was good enough. That was perfect. And it's just like, yeah, you could be comfortable in being responsible for your family.
Uh,
But now no one's responsible for, obviously, not a family, not even themselves, though. And it's like, I don't blame them because they're not really able to function and like control themselves and be a part of anything. They can't choose what to eat or what to watch. It's like the algorithm has chosen what food dyes to give you. It has chosen what content to give you. It has chosen what houses, what apartments rather, it's to give you. You don't have any choices.
Oh, yeah, so, I mean, I fucking did it wrong, but that's kinda how it started, was this concept with, like, the Fauci shit, and, like, let's just use that as a symbolic kinda, like,
Mm-hmm.
tool, but it was this concept of, like, "Oh, these people aren't actually looking out for my health in any regard. Oh, okay, so now I'm aware I need to take responsibility for my own health." But in, like, trying to do that, I'm like, "Well, I've gotta defeat all these mechanisms that are actively trying to make me unhealthy." And that's, like, where it starts to you're, like, focused on the self, but all of a sudden then you're, like, expanding beyond the self in an attempt to, like, save the self. So, that's where I mean, clearly I was a fuck up, but I don't know that was my attempt. I was trying to take responsibility for just for myself, but like you talked about, it's like the food systems, the blah, 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 all of a sudden, all in trying to take responsibility for yourself, you see all these other places where, like, you have no ability to take responsibility for yourself, and then in order to try to solve that, then I had end up, like, trying to take responsibility for every mistake in the world.
Yeah, that's a
It really
dangerous
did
place to
start with, like,
be.
health and food systems, like, "Oh, alright, take care of yourself. Oh, wait, you can't. You need to, like, grow your own food. Oh, okay, grow your own food, but" oh,
How the
whatever.
fuck am I supposed to do that? I'm fucking a broke 19-year-old. Yeah, I get it. I get it. I definitely get it. And most people will never want to grow their own food because they're not even at the point of like, oh, I need to take responsibility for such a thing. So I get how it's not going to work out for a lot of people. Um, uh,
Yeah, this agency, this self-agency thing is a real sticking point where it's like you kinda do have to make a choice. Like, even within the peasant class of, like, you can skirt by, but you have to, like, intentionally not take any responsibility for yourself and,
mm,
like, just purposely exist in that malaise, but the second you, like, poke your head up and start to take responsibility for yourself, it's like the system takes away all the advantages of, like, being being a peasant class. I don't know how to articulate it.
I tried to have a slice of bread for breakfast
Uh-huh,
today,
uh-huh,
and I
uh-huh,
flipped over the Whole Foods white bread my mom sent me when I was sick,
mhm,
and on it
mhm.
it says,
Do a delivery, a remote delivery?
yeah, she delivered me some food when I was
That's very
sick.
nice.
I know it was very maternal, and I flip over my just standard Whole Foods bread, the health food store,
Mm,
right? And on it
mhm.
it says
The
this
Amazon equivalent, but
bread
yeah.
causes cancer. This bread, I'm not even joking. Said this bread contains acrylamide, which is known to the state of California to give you cancer. Enjoy,
Mhm.
enjoy.
Uh,
And in my head, it's like
It'll drive a man mad, dude. This shit will drive a man mad.
my
Oh,
just the shitty white bread, because I don't have an appetite and I've been sick. Just to have a piece of fucking bread causes cancer. So
uh,
as I eat my little piggy little wiggly bread, it's
yeah, so
giving
you
me
get it. Now
cancer.
you have to take responsibility for the entire, like, industrial fucking food system.
No, I fucking don't. I need to just buy different bread or stop eating bread. Is
It
my
doesn't
attitude.
exist. It doesn't exist.
But I'm not. I'm sure as hell not making responsibility for all these other American fucks. That's for sure. I've never wanted to be responsible for all of them. Fuck all these other people. No, no shot. I'll take responsibility for
Well,
me and my family, and that's about it. It can extend to a few more people and to a small community, but I ain't taking responsibility for none of these fat
so
fucks. No
unfortunately,
shot. No, I'm. That's
and
never been a concern of mine.
I know, I get it, but so we're stuck in the rock and the hard place. I don't have the right answer, obviously, but the sentiment you just described, I understand why how it relates to you. I understand why it even is like seems like a logical position for you. But the people above you in the hierarchy and the structure have also adopted that exact same mindset, and you are suffering because of that. So it's like, I don't know what the answer is. Like, that's an acute answer for the, like, moment, but we are in the position we are in because the people that are actually responsible for others have also made the decision of, "Fuck everyone else, I'm just gonna be responsible for myself." We do that for 70 years, and next thing you know, everything's, very atomized, horizontally split and, like, chaotic.
I'm not responsible for the sins
But someone is,
of
though.
my
Someone is, though.
forefathers.
Someone is, though. Someone is, like,
Yeah.
Someone is responsible for your sins,
But the point
right?
being that to be responsible for other people, to actually radiate positivity outward, to make an impact, is to be responsible for yourself first and
Yes.
then your family. And that's about the best we can do. The best you can hope for is that you are responsible for yourself and for
Are
the
you talking on,
people
like, the
around you.
peasant level or the
For
institution
anyone
and
of all time, forever and ever, that's the best you can ask them to do, is to be responsible for themselves and for their immediate family. And bonus points if
talking
you
about
sneak
peasants?
in anyone else. No, I'm just saying anyone else in any society, well, whatever. Uh,
Someone runs society, though. The systems and the
well,
institutions that
I'm
it
not them. I don't run society, all right? And I
w
can't moralize to them. No, I cannot. I can't make them do not nothing, not never ever. Now can I? I can
no, but,
be, but what I can do is be responsible for myself and for my family and the people close to me. And over
mhm.
time, that should ultimately impact the
Yeah,
society
yeah, yeah.
to be a
It
little
happens.
bit better. That we will all be a little bit better off if we can take care of ourselves and take care of a little bit of someone else too. Piece by piece, day by day, action by action. That I let one other person go in front of me in line. Whatever. In the smallest ways, you could do whatever you can to be so secure in your own self that you can give a little bit, you can give 1% of your energy to someone else. And that 1% can cascade downstream as we all start to fill up and finally be able to distribute our 1% to everyone else too. And listen, I know you're frustrated that you feel like the ruling class or whomever you've imagined to make these choices lets you down, but truth is, they've always let you down. And in every society, they're always
I don't know if
gonna
that's
let you
true.
down. So
I don't know if that's true.
I don't know what you think's going to be different, but all you can ever really do is be responsible for yourself and for your family. There's no other scenario. I mean, that's why people run for president, I guess, is to try to, they're so confident they know how to live that they can be responsible for everyone else. But most people don't do that. And most people don't have the power to change things in their community. So you could just have to be responsible for keeping yourself and your family safe. And that's what we're not doing because now we're living alone in pods. So we're not forgetting responsible for ourselves, but like we don't even have families. Like our families are broken apart. We live in separate states. We live in separate places. We don't have friends. We don't have wives. So it's like, no, you're not able to give 1% to anyone else. It's a sad story. I get it. But I'm just, you just can't be, you can't put, yeah, no, you're not Jesus. You're not going to put the world's burdens on your shoulders. You're never going to do that. You can just be responsible for the people around you.
Alright, but
And that will benefit
these are
people.
thought experiments. These are thought experiments, so try to separate your initial reaction from, like, the logic behind it, but okay, so I'm following, but hear me out. In, like, taken to the extreme, uh, or if everybody thinks that way or wait, I lost my thought.
If everyone thinks that way, everyone will have someone caring for them. Everyone will have a family caring for them and that they also care for. Taken to the if everyone does that, they'll everyone will be taking care of themselves, which is already a win, which because they're not doing.
This doesn't
And
exist, though.
yes, it
Like,
absolutely
so
does.
the way society is structured since the beginning of time is, like, producers take care of consumers. That's how it's existed since the beginning of time. There is, like, divisions in the
I mean,
populace.
if you want to go deeper into that, that's what you're describing is fathers caring for their children. And it's like, yes, that is the dynamic we're talking about, and that is the level of responsibility
And
you
it's
can
the
hope to
Lord yeah,
achieve.
that's the Lord overlooking he's overlooking his peasants and, there's ideally systems designed where the positive outcome for the peasants is aligned with the positive outcome for the Lord, and so therefore he has an incentive to
I wouldn't
actually
worry.
care
So
for and
stop assuming everything is this hierarchy, this ancient Egypt pyramid where we have a
it
pharaoh.
is, though.
Yeah,
It's very obvious.
I believe you. I'm just saying, like, in the perfect scenario, everyone is looking out for themselves and for their children, and in that regard, they're if you're a child when you're a child you're being looked out for, and when you're a parent you're looking out for your children, so everyone is covered, you know. And it's just like,
Oh,
yeah,
but I
when
don't
you have a
believe that.
little
I
when
think
you
there's
have a
plenty of
little
adults that are incapable of caring for
yeah,
themselves
and they
or other.
usually don't have kids or they die. They
Oh,
usually
they have
die.
the most kids, actually.
Well, what
In society, they have the
okay,
most
great. Well,
kids.
there's yeah, it's not one to one. You know, there's gonna be some fuck ups, but yeah, that's why you have like a little bit extra. You have some people who are like trying to be a betterment to their community and like impact things. It's like that's why you probably have like adoptive children. Like that's probably been a thing, you know, since hunter gatherer society. And it's like no, that absolutely is the framework because it's like yeah you have your hut of just like you and your nuclear family and it's like yeah your responsibility is to just care for just those people and just those people ultimately will one day care for someone who isn't them also. They don't have to necessarily be their family, but if you raise good people who are cared for well, whose cups are full, they can spread a little bit more and take care of their community also. And just when people are healthy and taken care of, they're going to be able to take care of other people more and more, and that can radiate outwards. It can cascade down. So
Well,
and you're always going to have people fucking up.
who's the first person to have their cup filled and who fills it, etcetera, is, I guess, really the core of the
I
question we're
mean,
getting to.
chicken of the egg or whatever, but it's just like if you have a functional childhood, it's like you should be able to grow into an adult that can also care for children. And it's like it's give and take. It's like a wife cares for her husband and a husband cares for her wife. It's like you're not doing perfectly every single day and it's like you don't have all the skills to survive, but like that's what humans do is we work together. So it's like you know that like oh, I'm helping someone else out because they help me out in a different way too. And it's like it doesn't necessarily organize into these like crazy hierarchies of like 3 billionaires controlling 3 billion people. It's not natural, I don't at least I don't think, but it's just like if your village is strong, you're strong. And if you're strong, your village is strong. You know, in ancient Athens, um, the government, like the council, what to serve you, you didn't really elect politicians. What they would do is for the citizens, is it's like almost like jury duty. It's like 1,000 people are chosen like once a year, like 1,000 people like randomly, basically like jury duty, and you're all chosen to be a council and to be the government for like a year, and it was like jury duty, kind of, and it was just like everyone is expected to be responsible for the polis at some point or another. And it's like you're not responsible the whole time. You're not responsible for your whole life. You don't have to even be good at it. And if you were bad at it, you basically were ignored anyway. During the council meetings, your voice was only heard unless you were not interrupted. That was basically the rules. Whereas like your opinions are as good as if no one interrupts you while you're talking. That's basically the rule of those meetings. Was if you were interesting enough, people would stop and listen and let you talk. If you sucked, you would just get shouted over. And it's just like everyone had some, the citizens at least, had some stake in governing their society. And it's like they knew that everyone else was also had some stake in governing their society. They wanted to do well because they wanted to protect their homes, protect their families, and for reality, protect their slaves. But slaves was sort of a little bit different than what people usually assume it is. But like that was the vibe. It was just like, no, like we don't trust outsiders to govern. That's not the thing. We trust only the people who have been born here and who are full on citizens and who have homes. And it's just like, yeah, like you get your jury duty where you're on council and you're one of the leaders for the year. And then you get to be done after your year. And if you suck, no one listens to you and we just kick you out. If you're shitty at council, you don't do anything. But it's just like it was only the people who wanted to speak clearly and passionately that were heard. And it's just like everyone had a vested stake in governing their community. And that's what it was. And it wasn't like you wanted to be in power. It was just something you did. It was a civic service. It was something you were obligated to do because you knew it was going to protect you, it was going to protect your polis, and it was going to protect your family. And I
You're
don't
talking
see
about
what's
some
wrong with that.
very you're talking about a literal on a biological like, those humans don't exist anymore. That's not the type of humans we got these days.
Yeah, you're probably right.
We do not have, Greek citizens, Polish citizens like that. That was the highest form of human biology ever. It's all been downhill.
Well, I'm hoping that Greek classicalism comes back in
So
a big way this
oh, no,
century.
it's not possible. Like, we're
No,
talking about biology here. We're talking about everyone is more closer to an equatorial fucking, literally hopping around a monkey in the jungle than they are to the Greeks.
Well,
That's
then if
what does that
nature
mean? Is
serves them
this like
right, they'll perish without reproducing, and people who use their brains will survive. And we're looking at history in a very small scale right now, aren't we? You're talking about 80 years. That's what you're stressing about, is an
no, I'm
80-year
talking about
cycle
the
of fuck
entire
ups.
history of man. I got it all mapped in my head.
I don't know. People in the 1940s when classicalism was going off, well, I guess there was quick World War, quick eugenics, but
Oh,
whatever.
eugenics is coming back so heavy, so quick.
That's another conversation.
Yeah, okay, another conversation. But all right, so one of the things that feels like so sad about the moment to me, and I think it's just a matter of like whether, and not even saying it's good to like let yourself feel this, but it's just a matter of whether people have felt it or allowed themselves to feel it or whatever. But it's like it's coming for everyone, kind of. Is this concept of all right, yeah, fully realizing that I am someone's slave, but that's not even the painful part. It's like the painful part is I'm realizing like I'm someone's slave and they have no use for me anymore. That's the painful part. It's like they value me so little, they don't even care to like give me room or board anymore. And that's like what's setting in on the psychological level. I think that's so distressing.
That you don't even toil the land to be worth it anymore.
I'm not, and I
You're
don't know. I
left
don't mean it
over.
in a land toiling sense, but it's like you can get the managerial class, like the elite, whatever you want to call it. It's like they literally the incentives are no longer aligned. They are not trying to provide an even baseline acceptable life for their slaves, and that's distressing. It's like, well, what the fuck? Something is the entire system's getting upended. If the system of like slavery we've had going, you like they don't care about their slaves. They don't even care about their slaves. So what's up with that?
Well,
Like that's scary. Like you have no point to exist. Like that is scary. Uh, yeah.
yeah, well then I guess they're
Like
inventing
they're destroying
diseases to kill us
society.
all.
So
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that part, yeah, like
Yeah.
fucking it. Yeah,
Get
yeah.
ready for a
No,
lot
like
more
actually, I
bombs.
know. So that's where the responsibility comes in and goes, okay, realistically, my master is like trying to sneakily, without even having to face the fact that he murdered me, to like get rid of the fucking food bill that I cost. He's low key trying to get rid of me. Like that is a scary place to be in. And he's like, okay, fuck. Then I've got to like become my own master. But I'm a slave. How the fuck am I supposed to transition from slave to master within one lifetime? And that's clearly what has to happen or just die. Like the master is trying to get rid of me because the food bill is too high. What do you do in that scenario? When you figure that out, you're like microcosm it to a slave plantation in the South, literally toiling in the fields. You like catch wind of this concept of uh the food bill is costing more than the cotton is returning. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That means that mathematically my master will be getting rid of me soon.
I guess yeah,
Mathematically.
I guess you've run away then.
Exactly. So now what is the equivalent today of literally trying to run from the plantation because it wasn't the best quality of life, but it's like, it was tolerable. And now you're getting the hint of, oh, they're gonna fucking kill me, or they're gonna whip me to death. They're gonna find an excuse to whip me to death, etc. What's the modern equivalent of running from the plantation on the fucking
I don't
Underground
know.
Railroad?
Homesteading? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a pretty
It's just
dark
so
story.
it's sad. It's just very sad, dude. It's
Well, what
very
do you
sad that they
want me to fucking do about it? All
we're
right.
just thought experiments, just talking. We're just talking, just thought
I don't know. I'm
experiments.
pretty anxious right now.
I have no answers. I have no answers. But, yeah, I'm, like, losing anger at them, and it's just becoming sad, like, "Oh my god, this is just bad." They're like, the society's crumbling on the level of, like, there isn't incentives to keep society together, and so it's like it's inevitable that it completely collapses, because there's nobody even it's not even like we're trying our best and we're fighting the natural, like, entropy of life, we're fighting the natural entropy in the souls of humans, but we're all doing our best to collectively work towards a positive goal. It's like, no, no, we've given up on the goal. Nobody even cared. Like people with the incentives to like keep things structured and organized no longer have an incentive to keep things structured. And I think you're right. It's not just you saying that, but I think it's right of like, oh, they figured that out. And it's like, well, to then reduce chaos, then we literally have to just get rid of people. And I just caught a virus that I'll tell you what, didn't feel too familiar. Money. It's like, all right, money, like quote unquote, like escape the peasant class with money. That's not even fucking possible, man. Oh my god. I'm down. I'm down today.
Yeah. I just wish I could smoke weed and feel better, and I can't even smoke weed. God damn it.
Like you're scared to, right?
Yeah, like my cough
Like in
is
a
so
literal
bad.
visceral way. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
my throat and respiratory
Mhm,
system is in
mhm,
like disarray
mhm,
that like I can't even smoke weed to feel better.
mhm,
And like
mhm.
by the way, I can't even buy weed that gets me like normal high. Or that is like actually functionally produced like it used to be. Like it's all just like poison weed now. Like you can't even buy drugs in this country anymore. That's where they fucked up. They should have kept the drugs flowing. If they didn't
That's what I mean. They don't care. The people in charge of keeping the systems going have given up on everyone else. They don't even care enough to like give you your drip feed of drugs. That's that's bad,
or
dude.
content for that
That's
matter.
bad. That's bad. Exactly. The content sucks. Can't even keep my mind distracted. The drugs, I mean, I don't know exactly what you're saying, but it's like, all right, bread and circus. We're in Rome. We're the slave class. Whatever. There's some people, aristocrats managing things. Bread and circus. You wake up to the concept of bread and circus, and you feel a little bamboozled. Of oh golly, these guys have been jerking me around, and I didn't even realize it. I would love to just functionally get jerked around a little at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That's why the
like
2000s were so great. Just
that's the
opiates.
18-year-old smoking in your college. Oh God, bread and circus. Oh man, these guys have just been keeping me distracted from the realities of life this whole time. Great, man. If you could keep me distracted, I would fucking
Yeah, they're just bad at
bow
distracting
down
us.
at your fucking feet. I've
But don't worry, I'm sure Donald Trump's looking out for you. Sure, he's gonna fix all your
completely given
problems.
up. I've completely given up on Daddy Trump.
Yeah,
Part of the
well,
problem here. I had that for like 8 years. I had that hope to hold on to.
hmm,
Now I see through. Now I see through Daddy Trump.
that's too
It's not even
bad.
him specifically, just like the archetype of like, oh no, this is just they just served up an Obama for me for like my psychological profile. Got it. And I'm making fun of everybody who like fell for the Obama thing. And like, oh no, they just they just served up an Obama character. They designed one in a lab for the brain of Xander and similar people to Xander,
Hmm.
and boom, and I got. God damn it.
So, knowing all this information, and if you believe it all to be true, the only logical conclusion is to do the very best you can to care for yourself and for your
Mhm,
family until you die. And
mhm. But
you'll
this
just
all
die,
starts.
and one day you'll die, and it won't be your problem anymore. But all you can do until then, keep yourself alive and love your family. That's what I mean. That's all there is to do. That's all there is to do in
We
the good
only
times,
we
too,
only
for that matter.
started on this road though. We only started on this road because we just I don't even know. I'm the collective we it woke up to this concept of like, I don't really know if I have enough agency to do the task that you just described. And that's when you start exploring and investigating everything that like spirals out of control. But it all starts with like I think people generally just that is the baseline for like somebody who was raised not terribly is like they just want to be left alone, take care of their family. And I don't think they start with this idea of like I've got to save the world. I think it's this concept of I gotta say myself. You start realizing like, what the fuck? Why am I running into obstacles where it's like the simple act of feeding myself or paying my rent is difficult? Then you realize like, oh, they've fucked up the systems to such a degree that I don't even have the agency to just focus on myself. And then you start to get obsessed with the macro. And then the macro solution somehow comes full circle to going back of just focusing on yourself. But it's like we got into this mess because I was trying to just focus on myself and realized it's like functionally not even possible.
It is functionally possible. You're not going to be batting 1,000. You're going to eat some poison, but you'll do your best. You don't have to be perfect, but you will do your
Yeah, but how's your
best.
best working out for you so far?
Well, I'm not really trying my best now, am I?
Okay, all right. I guess that's a fair response. I guess that leaves a little bit of hope on the horizon. So yeah, that'd be worse. Yeah, if you thought you were doing your best, and yeah. So that's good. That's good. Keep holding on to that concept of I
Mm-hmm.
can do more. Yeah. But see, but now we're back to this self responsibility thing. Like you're having to add agency. The only way for you to like not fucking shoot yourself right now is for you to say, hey, you know this shit scenario I'm in? Technically, it's because I'm not doing my best. I could be doing more. And now it's like we're back to saving the whole world again because you've got to do more than what you're capable of. Because apparently, what you're capable of isn't enough. But you're defining that as like, well, I mean, maybe it is true, like really, but It's like, I don't think our parents were in this position of being like, "Well, nothing's worked out for me, but that's on me, I gotta do more."
No, that probably was the messaging they got.
Is, Ryan gonna have this job forever? He's got a great
I was
job
asking about
security?
that last night because he's funded by NIH, so it's like they rely on
Mm.
federal funding for his UCLA job.
Oh my god.
And if he gets clipped, I was like, "What are you gonna do, bro?" And basically, like the deepest answer I got was, "I don't know, just ask my friends, ask network." I'm like, "All right, well, frankly, I asked my network, quote unquote, for any job ever the last 2 years, and not one person in my
Mhm,
life gave enough of a fuck to even get me a job at a restaurant. Not one person in my life was
mhm.
interested in helping me.
And
So,
I think what you're talking about is, like, maybe there is some level of not interested, blah, 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 but also, it's like nobody's got the agency to do that. Everybody can't even take care of themselves, focus on themselves to such a degree, they don't even have enough, extra influence in their life to score you a fucking server job somewhere.
mhm.
So that's like, we're at that point. No one has agency on the individual level. And if that's the solution to the collective, like we're in this literal fucking circle of chaos and nonsense of, okay, to solve the macro, people need to turn inwards and solve the micro. Everybody's turning inwards. They can't even solve the micro. And so now what? So now we start looking to the macro to solve our micro. Oh, nope, that's a bad idea. Solve the micro to solve the macro. Okay. Oh, can't solve the micro. Must need some help from the macro. Oh, uh.
You must know some Zoomers that are doing okay, right? That aren't, this neurotic.
Then my friends that joined the military, ironically, it's like, what a fucking genius move that was, Rossi.
Are
No,
they
but that's really it.
they
That's
have
really it.
jobs
Everyone
or
else
they're
is
just in
living
the
at home.
military?
No, they're like the only people that are somewhat self-sufficient, somewhat like adults. Everyone else is living at home and he's had multiple jobs like you since college, or currently doesn't have a job because they just got fucking fired from their first big boy job or their second big boy job that, turned out to not be real.
Yeah. Oh, you're saying
So no,
the
no,
military
no.
guys
Everyone,
just
everyone
they
I
work
know,
for the military.
everyone from Coronado that I knew is living at home. Uh, and maybe has a kind of real job or has just lost their real job. And is now like working at the gym, the local gym as a fucking personal trainer. Like, yeah. Except for the people that join the military. They're like progressing at a normal, but that's completely government funded. And in the same way of like apparently Ryan had a fucking military job, and if that goes away, then
Mhm.
so on Reddit, I guess you did know about it to some degree. I don't know if you're on Reddit or whatever, but the concept of like all the government jobs literally like, or a lot of them in the past couple days being like up in the air, getting
Really?
chopped, or people. Do you know about this?
I vaguely, yeah.
Government employees being offered like severance and shit like this.
Mhm.
And yeah, all these aid programs and stuff, and any of these companies that are like technically NGOs or their entire business models like
Yeah,
downstream
grants.
of an NGO being
Yeah.
successful in
Yeah.
real time, like within the past 5 days, this shit is like people are in chaos mode in this world. I didn't know that Ryan was in that, but specifically on this concept of like government having a grant that pays an NGO and that NGO like having to try hire contractors to achieve its like goal that it's saying it's supposedly trying to achieve. And it turns out that's like 30% of the fucking workforce in the country.
Oh yeah. A lot
Like
of people rely on
literally
the government.
30% are somehow literally directly funded by like government nonsense. So it's just totally fake.
Yep.
And that's is coming to an end like within over the past 5 days. Shit has been moving. Who knows where it'll end? But that's crazy. That's crazy. So no, to answer your question is no, I don't know Zoomers who at all have any semblance. The only Zoomers I know that like aren't in distress is almost because they're like haven't even taken on enough responsibility where they start to shoulder things that would cause distress.
Because they're in the military.
It's just almost like, I mean, I don't want to keep using Ryan's exact example, but it's like the one bad thing hasn't happened yet. It's like the steps have been going smoothly.
Yeah.
They haven't even confronted the concept of like I've got to solve
I'm
a problem
cooked.
on
Yep.
my own.
Yeah.
And that's where you start developing, like you say, you start developing theories going back in your head of where everything went wrong, blah blah blah, and then
Oh
fucking your
god.
brain starts really
Oh
rotting.
god. Oh
So the
god.
only people I know that are doing okay is because they've never had
Anything bad
the
happened to them?
the real life like physical catalyst that has caused even the slightest bit of introspection. Anybody who's had a catalyst that causes introspection is cooked.
Yeah, yeah. It's good. It's
Uh,
good. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's good.
my
It's good.
solution for the longest time, for years now, for multiple years, like, I completely beat the depression of it, I've just been like, "Oh, I need to get mega rich real quick," and that's been my saving grace for years now, and I've just, like, run myself into the ground so aggressively physically by, like, putting that pressure on myself for years straight, and I didn't realize it, but the concept of, "Oh, you have to save yourself, and you'll save yourself by getting massively rich compared to your peers or whatever." That is, like, that's been my saving grace, that's been the hope that has prevented me from launching myself off the balcony for probably at least 2, 3 years now, and, this, like, this realization of that amount of pressure is actually also rotting you has, really really put me in a pickle here. I lost my little dangly carrot out in front of me, you know? That's really what I'm representing as. I
Mm-hmm.
lost the dangly carrot that, like, keeps me putting one foot in front of the other, and I only put that carrot there because it was already impossible to put one foot in front of the other, and so I had to, like, create a scheme to do that. Ugh, ugh. And yeah, this is what you're talking about, telling your dad about, like, "Dad, I'm getting fucking rotted out from the inside out." And it's like, "What? Why?" "Oh, because I put the wrong carrot in front of myself." Like, "Huh?" Like, "Son, what the fuck are you talking about? Go, put the fries in the bag, man."
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, ugh. They say money doesn't solve problems. Oh my god.
This is potentially not what I needed to hear today.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Potentially.
That's yeah, more than potentially. I don't know where to look. I don't know where to consume. I don't know what to put into my head that is not this.
Well, you could study for the Series 65.
Yeah, how's that been going?
Um, it's
Has that been good for your soul? Has
no, it
that
has
experience
not.
been good for the soul?
Not lately, no.
It's like,
Well, maybe I'll
I
move
I
home
don't wanna
earlier.
engage crypto scams. I don't wanna do a crypto scam. Oh,
Just maybe
god.
life of crime. Just commit some crime.
Oh, I got close, man. I got close.
Well, yeah. What were we thinking?
Well, I kinda had the offer on the table to, like, do OnlyFans with my girlfriend,
True.
and I did not do it, and I'm just glad, but still, it's like that these little fucking temptations where it's just like,
Yeah,
is it the right fucking move to, like, not make money? When the money's in front of you? I don't know.
it's
And it
alright.
is, it's like, I don't
Wouldn't
wanna
have been worth it.
I don't wanna put her through that.
Yeah,
Don't wanna put myself through that.
yeah.
But also at the same time, like, a nigga needs a fucking win.
Hmm. He sure does.
So, yeah, I don't know if there's a part of you not maybe you're much more healthy than me in this regard, but, I don't know if there's a part of you that is kinda like, be interesting to see how Ryan reacts if, like, he was faced with the same scenario. But
Um.
it's like, it's not cathartic at all. Turns out there is no, like there's no catharsis in that moment.
Yeah.
In that you'll just be living with an extra another neurotic fucking person. Like,
Yeah.
that's actually all that happens.
Maybe I should just move out early and just go home. That's kind of what I was thinking yesterday. Is like I should just start packing up this place now. Just
Mhm,
drive my car back to Denver, hang out with my
mhm.
dog,
Maybe.
and maybe things will be okay for 3 days or so. Well, I was thinking I could stop by Albuquerque on the way to Denver. Was kind of my plan. Was like I have to drive my car back probably at some point. I could visit you before I go to Denver.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. It's a lot of tension in this household, but yeah.
Well, it actually might help maybe. But I figured if nothing else, you'd have a just welcome distraction and a car you can take guilt free. I'm not sure what your
Sure,
car situation is, but
sure. Oh,
or
boy,
just
oh
live in my
boy.
car. I was thinking about. I was actually last night.
Yeah.
I was updating my resume to apply for some dispensaries, and I just figured I'd maybe just
Mhm.
live in my car for a little bit while work there. All of a sudden, it's like, well,
I mean, I would be
I went to like I went to one of the best journalism schools in the country. You know, rich kid.
mhm,
You know, good
mhm.
work experiences, all that stuff. Trying hard. I am smart. You know, I've tried, and it's just like,
Mhm,
who would have thought that I'd be living in my car, working at a dispensary, and would be okay with that? You know what I mean?
uh-huh, uh-huh. So yeah, you're what you're talking about is the failure of the fucking ruling class and the elites, like, what you're describing yourself as, and I think it accurately applies, and this is kinda like why this, Luigi Mangione story was so compelling to so many people,
Mm-hmm.
but also specifically me, is he and you and him are similar in this concept of you represent the elite aspirant class
Mm-hmm.
of the young men who, were not bad boys, who intentionally were good boys from the get-go with this, like, uh, quote unquote high-ish IQ concept of like risk, reward, like you know, long term being able to long term strategically think, blah blah blah. If I do this, blah 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 blah. When those group of people who have done everything right and employ long term thinking and employ discipline and self discipline in the sense of working towards long term goals, etc., exactly what you're talking about. When you turn out going, huh, I would be stoked to live in my car, work at a dispensary. That's a fucking problem. That's a fucking problem. And it isn't your fault and it wasn't his fault. That is the fault of the people who are in charge and responsible for others. And when the people who do everything right and have the desire to like ascend to that responsible class are getting smacked away, that's just it. It's a moral failure, it's a logistics failure, it's a fucking societal failure
But what
failure.
do you want me to do about it?
You specifically?
Just yeah, I guess, or just anyone. That's all it is. It's like I that's why I get frustrated with like I mean,
Because
you, my brother, other Gen Z people complaining and whining, these women
mhm,
wailing about dating apps.
mhm,
It's just like, look, huge gaping problem that I don't deserve. And I go, that's cool. What the
mhm.
fuck do you want me to do about it? Because you point at
So
me and you go, dirty, dirty snail. And I go,
no, I'm not
what
doing that.
the fuck do you want me to do? I am trying, and if you were to hang out with me, I would be nice to you. So what the fuck do you want me to do?
Well, what is your um opposite approach to whaling? What is the approach that you employ where they would employ whaling or where I would employ whaling?
Say that's tough and go and play guitar.
Okay.
Realistically, in
So like
some version of that.
disassociation is your version of complaining. Or it's like your what's the point?
Yeah, it's a pretty good way to put it.
So you're annoyed that they're complaining, and I get it. Uh,
I can't
in
even
this,
go on TikTok anymore without hearing the words dating apps are misogynist. And it's like, guys, like I would take you out for dinner. You know, if I was healthy, I'm already fucking sick as hell right now. If I had money to spend $150 and you take your overweight fucking
mhm,
Lena Dunham
mhm,
ass to get a goddamn bowl of penne, I would. All right?
mhm.
I can't. Okay? I can't afford the penne. You
You
maybe
can't,
can. You
and
maybe
then
can, but you're not gonna
maybe you'll
buy
get
it
some
for me.
claps. Maybe you'll get some claps or some pats on the back from the elite for not complaining. Maybe they'll give you an extra slice of bread since you didn't complain.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean it's just like the point is there no one has a solution, and this is where the whole adults in the room, the whole like you're right. People do want rules. Like just give me the fucking rules.
Yeah.
I'm losing my. I thought I wanted it. I thought I was part of this group that could handle charting my own path, and like hypothetically, still kind of am. But like, just give me some rules, man. Just give me some rules,
Give me
and
a
there's no one
job. Just
to
give
give
me
me.
a
No one.
job with a schedule. Give me something, you
So
know?
this dispensary thing, I like that would actually be clutch if you could get it. Uh, uh, dispensary job.
Free
What do
weed.
you think the odds of that are?
If I apply to enough, I mean, someone's got to be hiring, right?
Maybe you're right. There was men at some, but
But a lot of them do employ hot women. That's true.
yeah, that concept is like that. That's really kind of what I was getting
But
at. So I
I'm
don't
a
want
little
to
more
change
high
too much.
effort. I think I'm a little more coherent. You know, whatever.
But
I've got.
they're not optimizing for that. They're optimizing for the goon again, man.
That's true.
Literally, like
And
get some
it's all
weed, go
the men are all the
goon in your
customers
dark
anyway.
basement. Goon in your dark basement, and here's your goon aid, which is the weed, and you got a goonette to help you with your find and select your goon aid. Like There's just no role for the fucking high achieving male anymore. Like, you can't even sell people weed because it's been so goonified that they need a hot girl to make the decision for them. They don't even want you. They don't want the correct decision. They don't want the expert, literally. They don't want the guy who is caring about, oh, let me like try to relate to your experience and like, what are you interested in? Let me see how I can figure out what would best suit your experience you're looking for. Literally, we're past that. We're past that point. The economy isn't even optimizing for that. They don't even want good service. Like, the customer is an issue in a way. This is something going on with New Mexico big time, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you and Denver's probably pretty good actually, but these like elite coastal cities, um, the customer base is actually way more sophisticated than other places as well. There's a real problem in New Mexico. There's a couple businesses, specifically in Krause, that have opened in the past year or two
Mm-hmm.
that are like very well done, high effort people. And what it is, it's the craziest thing. It's people that are essentially, literally California. It's a ton of people that have moved from California or coastal places, cities. And then they're like, I have an idea for a business. And they open up a business in New Mexico that would appeal to people similar to them, and those people don't exist as a
Mm-hmm.
customer base in New Mexico. And the very quality thing literally like goes out of business or has nobody in it, and the owner's just eating fucking shit as a passion project because the customer themselves is like so low quality that they can't even recognize when high quality service is in front of them.
Yeah. Or they can't afford it.
I mean, yeah, all the those
Or
are
just don't
very
want it.
intimately connected. No, no, that's very intimately connected. The person who can't afford and the person who's just a fucking low quality piece of shit human.
Yeah.
Very, very intimately connected.
Yeah.
But the concept of like, yeah, it's like, dude, dudes just want like 80% fucking Jeter juice to the dome,
Mm-hmm.
and they want a girl with hot tits to give it to them. They
Mm-hmm.
don't even actually want to have like a conversation about weed like that. Give me the bright color packaging, dome me out so I can disassociate as easily as possible and call it a fucking life. God. Did you actually formally apply to a couple places?
Um, Ironically, all the ones that are hiring are far as fuck away. So I'm gonna just try to call the ones that are nearby first. But
Well, you don't have a.
I had to update my resume last night, and that was sore to do, man. Oh, that was sore to do. I have to like dumb it down. I have to remove work experience, remove qualifications, remove achievements and skills to make
On
it
purpose, you actually.
to make it clear that I was willing to subject myself to a shitty min
Mm,
wage job. After,
mm,
I mean, because I had on my like Warner Media like when I used to try to get corporate jobs, I was like, yeah, like I technically handled $51 million worth of ads, and it's like that was on my resume, and it's like that was
mm,
true. Like I handled
mhm.
millions and millions of dollars worth of advertisements for like huge organizations, but it's like that doesn't apply to working a retail job. Like that's not a plus.
What's your process?
What do you mean
What's your process?
for the resume?
Yeah,
I mean, I guess it depends.
like
What's
that.
most
I mean, that's my
relevant?
point. That's my point. Is the
What's
51
relevant to the
million
role? What is
needs
relevant
to
to
be
the role?
replaced with cup size?
Cup size?
Like you talked about $51 million worth of blah blah blah. It's like no, no, yeah. Pull that out and then put in the cup size. That's the equivalent.
The cup size of what?
How big are your breasts? How big are your
Yeah,
breasts?
yeah,
How big are your breasts? The
right, yeah.
numerical measurements of your breast
Of your body. Yeah.
is the qualification you put on the resume
Maybe there's a
when
just
you remove the ad spend number, when you remove the revenue generation numbers, what replaces it is the cup size.
maybe there's a place in West Hollywood that wants a few men for the gay customers. Maybe I could work
No,
there.
I think they like 18-year-old twinks over there too. So cooked,
Thank you.
cooked. Can't even. You've aged out of that. You've aged out of being a viable rape victim.
Wow. Wow.
That's what I mean. This is what I mean about the slavery shit, where it's like it just hurts even worse. It's one thing to wake up to the fact you're a slave. It's another thing to realize that they don't even want you as a slave anymore and are like starting to cut off your rations. So yeah, I think women do feel like that, dude. Like the aging woman who starts to get real neurotic in the head. That's literally what she's going through. Is like, oh fuck. For 10 years, I was bitching about how everyone is trying to rape me, and I'm literally aging out of being a viable rape candidate.
Basically, yeah.
And that, like somehow actually hurts the soul worse, which is crazy. all of a sudden they're just like, "No, no, you wanna rape me, right?" And people are like, "Nah, hey, woman, get off the internet. Way too old for this conversation. You
Yeah.
don't need to be here. Wrong place, lady." She's like, "No, no, no. You wanna rape me, right? No, man. Don't even know you exist." Yeah. Tried to go get Cane's last night and make myself feel better. It was terrible.
What happened? Just bad.
Well, it's just bad. Yeah, bad food didn't make me feel good.
Yeah.
Kind of more or less broke down in tears in the parking lot of Cane's. Very, very
Oh, because you tried
embarrassing.
to eat it in the parking lot instead of go home first, or what?
Well, that's like kind of my routine. Yeah, it's kind of my
Oh,
routine.
you
It's
don't eat
just
it
what
at
I do.
home?
No, because it's like colder and stuff. You know, get it when it's hot. Blah, blah,
I
just
guess.
turn on your phone and sit in your car.
How long is the drive?
Like 15 minutes.
Uh, and then you just like it
Um,
was like instantly just like dog shit, and
I
you're
was uh,
just so hungry, and you just that was your
I was
that
already
was your
barely
last
holding it
fourteen
together.
dollars.
Barely holding it together. Barely able
Oh,
to
I'm saying,
generate the like
oh, poor
pleasant
guy.
interaction with the counter lady and like not involve her in my months and years of wallowing.
Uh-huh.
Try to and I did. I pulled it off, like, had a good little chuckle with her, kept it lighthearted. Just got to the car, and my body's just like, "That's it. That's it. I can't keep up with this bullshit any longer." And then the chicken made me feel, like,
That's
gross
how I
and
felt it
whatever.
In and Out the other night, where I was feeling, yeah, it was like my first real meal after being sick, and
Mhm, and it
I
didn't hit. You were
it was
expecting
so
it to
bad.
hit, and
It was not hitting at all, and I was like crying on the way. I was like I cried in the shower a little bit, yeah, like, and not
there's
because my
nothing
In and
for
Out
me.
fries were
There's
fucked up,
nothing for me. If In-N-Out
literally,
isn't for me,
yeah.
there's nothing for me on this earth. Yeah.
In a way, yeah.
Old
And
reliable, it's
it
like, you
made
have
me
to
like shit. It made me like sick to my stomach. Like it was like fucked up. The fries were, they like, I asked them for them well done because I hated enough fries, and they were like
mhm.
completely like bricks, like get crumbled in your hand type thing. Like just like couldn't exchange them by the time, and like,
Well, don't even give me any indication that the service at In-N-Out is falling apart because that was the last pillar of like quality control and
I would say
consistency
they're a little
on
less
this
chipper
planet.
than maybe 2019, but they're, yeah, they're keeping it together. They're
The
keeping it,
quality
yeah,
control is still there. Okay,
they're keeping it together for the most part.
because that's another depressing thing. It's just like the fact that I can't go to McDonald's and get anything edible is that's depressing. I used to be able to do that in my childhood.
And you would like be happy. You would like
Yeah,
ask your
and
mom
then
for it.
people working never stoked, but it's like somehow the systems and the incentives were enough that people had
Yeah,
had the incentive to try to do good
they
at their
put up
low
with
level
it.
job.
They put up with it.
And now there's the incentives aren't even placed. These people are there, they're present, but there's not incentives that make sure that they're actually doing their job.
We need a
And that
Mexican
results
president.
in cold fucking patties ending up in your burger.
Yeah.
And that's just yeah. It's yeah. God, God fucking damn it, dude. God fucking Oh, and just like that, what I just did right there probably send my body into a physical spiral
Hmm.
from exciting the cells too much. Yeah, man. Turns out staring out into the abyss. Not good. Not good. I thought I was Thanos. So I'm like actually pretty stoked. I'm waiting for UBI. Pretty stoked.
Hmm.
Hopefully quote unquote, people can just focus on art and shit like that. And obviously for the most of the population, I think it'll just spiral into absolute degeneracy and psychosis.
Hmm.
But that being said, art actually will increase and like yeah, there will be increase in quality and effort in overall in the production of art, but still the segment of the population engaging in it is gonna be so small.
Well,
But
it can be
it'll be
us.
greater. It'll be greater than it is now. Yeah, it's kinda like what I'm planning already, but, this money thing's really getting in the way.
Hmm.
Jace, slept in his Cybertruck on the beach during the first night of the fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That was just an anecdote
Like on
story.
the sand.
I don't know, probably not just on the side of the road on the PCH. But, like, he had to evacuate his place in Topanga and just decided to drive down to the fucking PCH where the fire eventually got to.
Yeah. Damn, bro. Scary.
And yeah, he said he's like saw it crested, like wasn't taking it serious, wasn't taking it serious. Like tons of people were freaking out, and he just thought people were freaking out. And then a couple different experiences of like literally driving the roads in the canyon or whatever, and like seeing a wall of flames like cresting over a hill in front of him, and being like, "Huh,
Probably can't drive through that.
maybe this is a little bit gnarlier than I was thinking." And then he said at one point, then it like clicked in, it like finally clicked for him of like, Oh, again, I mean, I don't know if it's related or not, but the concept of no adults in the room of like, "Oh, I thought I was, like, getting away with something by, like, not fully evacuating." Like, "Oh, no, they have no control, like, the authorities have no control. This is,
Yeah.
like, going bad." But he said he didn't realize that at first. It was just, like, he was annoyed he was forced to evacuate and was just, like, trying to get away with, you know, like, ignoring authority and then realizing, like, "Oh, it doesn't matter if I ignore authority. It's like, they're not able to save me anyway. They're fucked too." I don't know. That seemed really funny to me that he was, like, essentially right in the midst of the fire. He was, like, past the police blockade, just in the side of the road, and, like, there's just no one to I mean, they were out of control. Nobody had control of anything, but, like, he's just inside the fire zone, driving around in a Cybertruck, and, like, I mean, people might have thought he was, like, an official Elon employee or something.
Mhm.
Well, did you see that? Like, Elon sent a bunch of Cybertrucks
Did he?
to sent a bunch of Cybertrucks with Starlink in them to the disaster zone to serve as, like, mobile, networking
Hmm.
fucking stations.
I did not know that.
Yeah, you really, really tuned out that fire situation. That was fascinating how you were able
Uh,
to pull that off.
Definitely turned it. Yeah. Well, I don't care. You know, I don't care. I don't care when people die anymore. That's how my humanity has suffered.
Mm,
That destruction of
yeah,
people's lives does not mean anything to me because I just don't
yeah.
have. I don't have enough to care about eating for myself. I don't. So it's like, no, I don't care that your cute little house burned down, that you're in Palm Springs or whatever. Okay, sick. Yeah, just don't care anymore. Just we're waiting for the Lord to take me.
Alright, publish this on the internet.
Yeah.
See what others have to say about it.